Dzień dobry, dzieci. It is the Flurza Experience, a show about Gwent and so much more as I struggle with my voice. I didn't sleep well, but we'll get in that's not part of it. We can talk about that later. But either way, I am always joined by the donut deity, Pavel Burza. Nice to see you,
I've
Pavel.
become a deity now. Man, I've evolved. And this is yet not my final form, so you don't know what to expect moving forward.
There's more. You could become some sort of cosmic crueler or something like this.
Exactly, of Ponchki.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I got to come up with more names. Every time I sort of write this stuff down, I'm like, what do we call Pavel today? You've been the Ponchki Prowler. You've been the Polish Batman.
They're always good. They're always good.
I was going to say Psychocyclist, but I don't think that's good.
Psychocyclist.
I mean, that's possible. Anyway.
10 out of 10. I'll take that. Anything that involves sweets, Batman, and Ponchki, and cycling is, you got me there.
What about
all those things?
Totally. Batman-shaped Ponchki?
I would eat those. For sure. They'll be 10 out of 10, even better.
I'm all for it.
So yeah, hello, Flake. Episode 10. Episode 10. I'll let that sink in for a second.
10's a big one. I mean, you're a 10 already. You came into this episode being a 10.
Aww.
And now the show numbers at 10 that's pretty decent. And I have to thank obviously got to thank you, and I got to thank Shinmiri for also being the first 10 episodes of this. So this is technically like 20 for me, but it's 10 for you and I for the Flurza experience. Exactly. And big ups to everybody who listens and watches and all that stuff, because
and everybody
we're niche.
Produces this.
And well, yeah, I mean, I have to give a lot of love to Markthius, who I mean, if you're an OG in Gwent, you'll know Markthius. Markthius is I say this to everybody. I say Markthius is probably the hardest working person in card games that you may not have heard of. I say this all the time. He has his finger
he's behind the scenes.
Exactly. He has his finger in so much content that you guys love and that people from various other card games also are all about. And he is somebody whom whenever I can attribute my success to, he takes a massive chunk of that success from my from all that stuff. So big ups to him, but also to everybody listening for 10 straight episodes and actually continuing to allow us to talk to each other, and you guys just sitting around and saying like, wow, what a bunch of doofuses. This is fun.
Plus all the questions that you send us, those are also amazing. So thank you, and keep on coming, because there's a lot of discussions we can have about important topics that are, of course, related to Gwent, but also less important topics, and also very important topics like if a hot dog is actually a sandwich. So we're always happy to receive these type of questions, and very happy to answer them and kind of go deep into this stuff because it's important. So speaking of topics, this week we're going to talk about Gwent Open number 1, which is coming this weekend. If you're watching or listening to this on a Friday, that means it's the next day on Saturday at 4 p.m. CEST, and we're in summertime currently in Europe, which is awesome, and which means the days are also longer. And also, I think we'll touch upon the topic that we said that we will talk about in the previous episode, which is the streamer community, because it's a topic that a lot of people really want to get into and kind of have their say in terms of like the number of people streaming the game versus the popularity of the game and stuff like that. So all this, and of course at the end we will have your questions from the mail bag.
Yes. But first, Mr. Pavel Burza, there's been a lot of rumor and innuendo that has been circulating. I know that you and I do our best to keep this stuff under wraps, because the information that we are privy to, you more than I, quite frankly, but still, I do have my fingers in that cookie jar sometimes, but still, there is the Dagon rumor report. It is a staple of this program, and we need you to essentially clear the air in terms of what people can expect in terms of a forecast for Dagon.
So I am happy to share some very classified information coming directly from the desk of Director Fury at S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D. Yes, Nick Fury. This is important stuff. Our intelligence in Latveria has been able to discover secret documents belonging to Doctor Doom, which have been analyzed by Tony Stark. Nonetheless, Charles Xavier and Stephen Strange, Doctor Strange, Stephen Strange. We have to really call him Stephen now. But yeah, the Illuminati, along with cosmic intervention, have concluded that a threat is lurking in the fog, but it's 100% not Dagon. Not happening. Stop asking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We have the best minds in across various different multiverses, but most specifically in Marvel 616, which is the most popular canon of what comic books were. If you are unaware of the different universes and multiverses in comic books, the most prominent and the most long-standing one, like if you pick up a comic book and it matters and it's true canon, then it is you're reading a comic book that is within the universe of 616. That is some nerd trivia for you. Yeah, there's the cinematic universe. Mm-hmm. There's various cinematic universes. There's the comic book universes that are very, very different. But the main one, the one that like Amazing Spider-Man, that comic run that's been around since the 60s, Fantastic Four, X-Men, all this stuff, all the ones that have major storylines that intertwine, those are within the universe called Earth 616. That is just
616. Okay, yeah. That's something new for me.
There you go.
I'll keep that in mind.
Keep that in your back pocket. If ever someone says something, you can just be like, "Oh, really? Is it canon in 616?" And then they'll be like, "Nerd," and they'll push up their glasses and say stuff. That's what I would do.
Good.
All right. Wayback Machine time. It actually wasn't that great of a Wayback Machine this time. I looked back all the way to like 2018 or something. There was a few things, patch notes here and there, but I think the most important one was, I believe this was the week in 2019, 3 years ago, where Crimson Curse was released and hit the table, as it were. My favorite expansion ever for Gwent was Crimson Curse, and boy, oh boy, did this really just light Gwent on fire and let it burn for a little while, because there was some really good stuff in Crimson Curse.
Yeah, then that's where it all started. I mean, there was the first, let's say, big expansion coming to Gwent with over 100 cards, 31 neutral, 14 faction cards per each faction. That's a lot. We had the 5 new leaders also coming there with unique abilities, new mechanics like poison, bleeding, vitality, shield. So all the important stuff that you see in Gwent now. It was stacked, man. It was stacked, and introduced characters like Oriana, Sienna. We have Detlef there. We have the Crimson Curse itself as the card. Artorias Vigo. It was a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff in that update.
So yeah. That the whole set was awesome. Like Detlef was just one. I think that were the scenarios introduced in this as well. I think so, Haunt and Masquerade Ball and all that jamboree. There was some really good stuff. I might be mistaken here, but it maybe not. I think that maybe it came out with the next set that was like Merchants of Ophir or something. The one where you
think so. I think that was Merchants, to be honest.
Syndicate came out.
This one, I remember we had the leaders and we had the cards, new mechanics, and that was already a lot to push out at the time.
Definitely. It's just that whenever you see something like with Detlef, the one with Death Wish, you're always associating it to Haunt, like the scenario. Yeah. So I always just associate the two together. But ultimately, man, oh man, what an awesome set of cards that was. Great.
It was amazing.
Like the theme was amazing. I think it was supposed to be timed as well to like the release and certain tournaments. I think it was like like World Masters #1 was supposed to be around this time as well. So there was all kinds of cool stuff that was supposed to occur that didn't. And again, we've harped on this many times in terms of, tournaments and doing them online versus in person and how things are going. But who knows? I mean, if the world sort of pulls its socks up and starts behaving a little bit better, we can probably get together at the end of the year. I mean, that would be awesome.
Would be amazing. And that was also the time where Gwent was still on Xbox One and on PS4, so that's way, way back. Way back.
I never did the console thing when it came to card games. It just felt weird.
Me neither.
First time I ever did cards on a console was I think like man, this was like ages ago on my Xbox 360. Remember there was that game, it was like Magic Plains, like Battle of the Planeswalkers or something like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
I did that, and I thought that was pretty cool. And I was
I
like, all
played that
right,
on
but
Steam.
it's just, wasn't it clunky? Like, don't you, like, even playing with a mouse and keyboard feels odd now that I've gone back
Yeah,
to playing in person, of shuffling the cards, of holding them, of like,
that's the best part.
it's a whole different ball game. And I wish that everybody out there, I'm telling you, I know that digital card games are very dominant and they're very accessible and whatnot, but if ever you get a chance just to want to dip your toe into playing cards like in person, like find a friend or go to any LGS and do like
Hmm.
do a Magic draft, do a Flesh and Blood draft, do whatever, a Pokemon draft.
Highly recommend.
I'm
It's a
telling you.
different gaming experience, right? It's totally different than what you're used to. And I think also if you look at Flesh and Blood, their number one goal since the beginning was to do something different than all the digital card games are, which is bringing players back and actually having them sit in front of each other at a game table to bring back something that Magic had and still has. But a lot of these card games that we have right now are either going fully digital or they're trying to digitalize at least some aspects of the game in order for you to grind them out online. So kind of bringing communities together and bringing players together to go face to face.
Yeah, no, that's basically it, and it's an experience that is so much different than everyone else. And I mean, even from a Gwent perspective, like having the tournaments in person and seeing Tailbot sitting across from Colomone as they're playing, and having that tension and having that build up, and seeing both players when you like, my favorite aspect of these tournaments, and this leads nicely because Open number 1 is occurring this coming weekend. Like you mentioned, this is going to be published on Friday. The tournament is literally tomorrow if you're listening to this on the Friday, and it's exciting and everyone's gung-ho and super happy about it. But my favorite parts of those tournaments were when we're in person and seeing when somebody would make a play that was either unorthodox or caught someone off guard, is you see the player look up and look at the player across the table from them and be like, you bastard. Like, one of those. Like that to me,
I love that.
Adds an extra layer, and I love that.
Yeah, it shows that it's actually two people going face to face. It's much different because I mean you get to see the reactions in the camera once they do a play, but it's still not the same as when they look over to each other, they smile at each other and stuff like that, because they're not really seeing their opponent in front of them. So it's a different experience.
Oh, to say the least. Even just from the selfish perspective of being able to go there and see everybody and hang out. I mean, it has nothing to do with.
That's true.
I'm not going to lie and say that it's not a great experience from when I'm not quote unquote working. It's just, but being at the desk, like I had the joy of being able to cast Flesh and Blood in Indianapolis a couple weeks ago, and I will say this: I absolutely adore casting with Shinmiri. It is a joy to do. I absolutely also miss being able to cast with the person next to you, so you can kind of you're having the dialogue with them about the game, and it's a different dynamic than it would be if you do not see the person when you're talking, because you can't read body language, you can't take cues from them and things like that. When I was in Indianapolis, I was literally most of the game was like you had the big screen of the game going on that you're doing the commentary for, but I'm like kind of angled and talking to the person whom I'm casting with, and they're kind of looking, we're having a dialogue as we're kind of looking at the game. And so it's a completely different dynamic, and I feel like it flows so much better. And casting with Shinmiri is always super awesome, but I'm not even kidding you, I don't even think that him and I have we ever cast together at a desk before? I don't think that's ever happened.
I don't think that's ever happened, because you had Shinmiri was always the analyst, and you had a different pair with you, because who you were again working with always?
It was McBeard. McBeard and I.
Yeah, McBeard. True.
We're always together, but like I think as soon as the pandemic hit was the first time that Shinmiri and I. No, because it was Masters, and McBeard was associated with that. Then that got canceled. Then I think McBeard left and Shinmiri came in, but it was all done at home. I've never sat next to Shinmiri and cast the match. I just realized that him and I have done so many tournaments and stuff together. Yep. That is so odd. It's so weird.
Yeah, and I think it's something that you mentioned is much different than actually getting to sit next to the person. And actually, we always talk about this aspect of body language, and I think it's also very important because it's much different than us talking. It's much different when it comes to just like interrupting one another when we're doing a discussion online, like we're doing right now. But having this in person thing feels more. I don't know how to say it, but feels more. You're like there's a bigger connection right there, right? Because you're sitting, next to each other. And it's much easier to communicate using nonverbal communication also. But it's also, I think, building a bond. It's much easier to do it if you have someone right next to you. You get to hang out. You take breaks, because we always have breaks when it comes to the production of these things on when it's live. Like we still do the production aspect, which I love the most because it's the thing that I like the most. Like this week, we're recording this today. I just came back from the studio and we were setting up all the audio stuff, all the video stuff, checking if all the assets are working, checking if all the animated overlays that we have, if they're all working properly and stuff like that. So doing all that setup and checking if, of course, if all the PCs are running properly, like that itself, I love. I just love the production aspect of the whole thing. So actually getting all these teams together, because normally our esports team is a team that consists of a motion designer, a video editor who work on everything CDPR related. So they work on numerous trailers, but also ads and stuff like that. Then we have the audio team, which works on every aspect of every game that we do. So normally we have the guys from Gwent, which are now part of the global audio team, and they do like an amazing job. So we also bring them together. We have the events team, so Repek. We have the social media team, so Dominika, who because we mentioned her like numerous times in this podcast. We also have like Mateusz from PR. We have like a lot of different people, and Ryan, of course, coming from and forming this esports team that we have. And it's really, really cool to take all these people from different aspects and walks of life, let's say, and kind of bring them together and create this event. And it was also amazing to have the casters come in, the players come in, get to know them, get to hang out. We have breaks in between the rehearsals that we do. Sometimes the rehearsals came later because there were technical difficulties which we're trying to solve. And this whole thing and this whole production aspect of it is something that I really, really like. And I feel like a lot of people don't get to go and kind of see behind the scenes what's happening. We always talk about, of course, the glorious stuff, which is, getting fitted with the awesome clothing and suits and stuff like that. But there's also like, us eating pizza and waiting for something to get fixed because we can't really do anything. And I just love this. I love this. It's like this aspect of creating something with a number of people. And I feel like we're super bonded. Like the team that works in the studio, we feel like we get to like hang out, make stupid jokes. We do it throughout the whole weekend. We work long hours, but it's fun. It's fun. It's cool, and we enjoy it. So I think that's the most important thing of the whole thing. But I miss the fact that having you guys in the studio makes it like a million times better.
And then there's always Panda that's trying to get someone to play FIFA against him.
Yeah.
Flake, you play FIFA? I don't even know what FIFA is, man. Like I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Panda and his FIFA.
He's just
play FIFA.
He's like a hustler, like at a pool hall. He's like, Flake, FIFA? I'm like, what? What is that? Soccer? I'm like,
just to give you a little bit of context to that, because those that might not know, like we would have the players and the casters sit in the main building in the studio, where you have access to like the kitchen. You also have access to all the other facilities. And in the big room that we have there, which is like a big conference room, we would set up consoles because we have a big TV there. So like a PS4 or something like that. So they could come in and play games while waiting for their matches to start. They also have their like set up laptops in which they can practice Gwent if they want to keep on grinding and kind of going into the tournament with a couple games that they did before. Like that is also a possibility. So, but there's also like games like FIFA, for example, which Panda always like, yeah, you want to play FIFA? You want to play FIFA? Like we want to challenge everybody with FIFA because he's good at the game. That's probably why.
It just made me laugh because the one time I played, I'm like, fine. I'm like, I'll play. I've never played before. So we're choosing teams, and I just choose Team Canada, which are like a terrible, terrible soccer team. However, they did qualify for the World Cup, which is amazing. And he is choosing like, I don't know, like
FC Barcelona
exactly,
or Real Madrid,
or like Italy from the 90s or something like that.
Yeah.
Like one of those powerhouse teams, and I'm like, or Brazil, and I'm like, all right, and then you'll just absolutely slaughter me. It's like 10-0 at halftime.
That's why he wants to play against everybody, because he's good at the game. He just wants to destroy everybody, and then like, I am dominating here.
I'm okay with that. I'm absolutely okay with that.
It's like Flake playing Gwent right now, back streaming playing Gwent and destroying his opponents and then calling them out on Twitter. I love it. I love it. I just love it so much.
Well,
I would check your feed daily just to see kind of like, mill players haven't staged, they haven't changed. Their win con only right now is just to close the game and wait for like connection loss.
Yeah, it was
still salty.
It's not even. I'm okay with it. It's just like the fact that Mill has sucked since closed beta, and I get it. Like people still play it, and you could play whatever you want, and it's totally fine. But what makes me laugh all the time is that I'm a seasoned player. I know how to play against Mill. I know how to beat Mill. I think my record against Mill in the past year, I think I have 2 losses against Mill over the span of a calendar year, with like 30 plus wins against them, because a lot of people don't know how to beat Mill. And I'm like, you just 2-0 Mill. You don't pass. You have to win round 1. And if your cards suck, well, then they suck. And that's just, and you lose. And it happens. But every time I would play, there'd always be the same thing. As soon as like I answer their big point play or their whatever, you heat wave their T-bore so they can't, or whatever. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's just they just take their phone or their computer and they throw it in the river. And then there's like the disconnection. And this happened to me over the course of this week of streaming. I've been streaming probably, I've been streaming at least every day, but also in the evenings too. And part of this is also because I want to get as good as I can with a lot of the decks that and leaders that we're most likely to see at the tournaments. And just part of it is, frankly, I just want to get really good with these. But I guess, I mean, I took 6 weeks off the game, did not touch the game, just did not play a single game in 6 weeks. And then jump back in and just completely posterize everybody. And with decks that people say were bad, like Relics are bad, Monsters bad. I'm like, really? Because I just got 2,500 in 25 games. Like all of my games got me to where I needed to go. And
remember, it's not the deck, it's the pilot.
Well, that's part of it. And I'm not trying to sit here and say that I'm the tits when it comes to Gwent. I'm not like the all-knowing, all-being. There's so many better players than me. But it's just awesome because part of it is also the backseaters in my chat that are like, why are you doing this? You're doing this wrong. And you're like, hey, pump your brakes there, Charlie, because there's a plan. So let's just relax, and we got it. And that's just kind of how it goes. But I mean, this leads into the fact that, like, speaking of streaming and whatever, is that there's the main topic that we want to discuss here and devote like a solid 20 to is the fact that there's this outcry that has occurred recently. And I wouldn't even call it an outcry, but more of a concern that people are seeing streamers either quote unquote leave the game or do other things. And people are drawing this direct link between the number of streamers and viewers on Twitch to the health of the game. And I am here to tell you that that is completely bogus math. And is it an indication? Is it a symptom? Sure. But you can have a runny nose and it's just a runny nose, or you can have a runny nose and it's symptoms of something,
COVID-19.
Yeah, exactly. It could be a lot worse. However, I mean, for all those who panic, and I know that this question has come to you and I a few times, which is, what is your opinion on all these players leaving Gwent? Well, I think it's time that we could discuss a little bit about it. And you know me, Pavel, I get real freaking raw about most topics that I'm passionate about, especially ones that I have a stake in to a degree, because I've been streaming Gwent for 4-5 years or so since closed beta. So however, since 2017, 2018, I've been streaming this game. So I think I have a little bit of the inside scoop when it comes to some of this. But for yourself, your part of your job, I suppose, was to a degree, like community and streamer management to I mean, I don't say streamer management, but being a link and a liaison and kind of some guidance for the streaming community. So what's your opinion of the fact as a community manager where you're seeing certain names get up and do other things, and this isn't something new, for the record, because you can throw a dart on any month of the calendar over the past 4 years, and within 3 months, front or back, there's probably a streamer who's decided to do something else, or a new streamer that's come to the game or come to Gwent. So what's your opinion of this?
Yeah, just based off looking at how our partner program is going, like this is something that used to be managed by Mateusz and now is managed by Ryan from our side. Mateusz is kind of who's also working on esports with us, but he's also part of the global like team responsible for relations with content creators. Like we see content creators come and go, and I think it's a standard thing. You see it across all our titles, and I feel like it is something to do with the streamer's kind of personal decisions in terms of like, I want to move on to a different title, or I want to stick to this. And if they stick to it and they become like a household name, they will see their viewership rise, right? And they will stay with a given title for as long as possible. But I feel like a lot of content creators and streamers, they're just trying to find their place when it comes to the content that they're creating and the community that they're building. So they will come in, they will try the game, they will play for some time, they will stream it, they will start building a following. And if they feel like they're progressing and they're growing, they will stick with it. But if they feel like they're not really progressing because there's someone like Shinmiri who has a lot of views, and Thea and Lionheart and you and others, that they have already, like, let's say, cornered the market. So they're trying to find a different title. And I think when it comes to streaming, it's two things. Like, you can be a variety streamer, so you can be streaming different titles and coming back in and out of them and trying different games, but sticking to a genre that you like, either it's RPGs or it's CGs or it's FPS games or whatever, or any online multiplayer, first-person shooter, stuff like that. And you will either stick to that because you're known for either being a good player, or you're known for being just a person that provides, a nice quality and let's say this entertainment value to the whole thing. So you'll be doing that and flipping through titles, or you will try to like become a household name. And I think it's very hard to become a household name in a game that is already on the market for such a long time as Gwent is. But still, we see content creators come in and rise. We've seen this, I think a good example also, since we were talking about open in the beginning, is also how casting goes. Like, casting teams and the people casting the game, they always change based upon the content creators that come in and create, let's say, their own image, and they create their own community around them, and they're kind of doing it. But if you come in and you feel like, okay, I am not really breaking through, I will move on and do something else. And I don't feel like it's ever connected to the game. Of course, it's more, let's say, how to say it, more appealing to be streaming a game which is currently popular. So that's why we have a lot of people playing Gwent, but then they jump into Elden Ring, for example, because Elden Ring is the new hot thing and it might drive viewers. But you kind of see that the majority of the players that are coming to your stream are most interested in actually watching you play the game which you're very well known for, which in this case would be Gwent. But if you feel like, okay, I try something different, people are not watching it, well, what's the point for me of doing this? And we can also get into the aspect like that people stream for money, some people stream for entertainment, and that's like a whole different bag of thing. But I feel like the popularity of the game to some extent is important, but it's not the driving and deciding factor when it comes to streamers and content creators to pick up a title or move on from a title or try something different. I think it's more of a personal thing for them.
Yeah, there's this fallacy that these streamers are making, money hand over fist when it comes to this kind of stuff. I'm gonna give you a little bit, everybody out there, a little bit of a little glimpse into the vast riches that are accumulated by streamers. And I mean, I'm not a popular streamer at all. That is just statistically true. So we could just toss that out the window right away. That is a fact. I am perfectly comfortable knowing that I'm just not people's cup of tea with what they want to watch when people are streaming. And I'm okay with that because it's all good. Because I've been in a lot of channels of people where the Twitch chat is just, I'm like, glad this isn't my channel to a degree. Not that most people are like that, but there is some really annoying garbage that it can get tossed around. That said, ultimately, my mediocre channel, I'm a partner Twitch streamer. At my peak, at my absolute peak, when I was averaging, between 100 and 200 viewers a stream, streaming for 5 to 6 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week, my paycheck monthly was probably in the maybe $200 to $300 range. So imagine working 6 hours a day live, plus all the stuff that goes on both sides of it, which is like preparing the stream and all the assets and the post-production of creating and publishing videos and whatever. So it was probably closer to maybe 9-hour days, 7 days a week, and you're making probably about $200 to $300 US. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people don't get rich doing this. The very select few do, and you can pinpoint the absolute most popular streamer in Gwent, whoever they are, whether it be Shinmiri, whoever has the most views consistently, and I will guarantee you that they are not paying the rent off of whatever popularity and whatever. Now, that's outside of things like YouTube or whatever, but you know how much money I made on ads streaming so far? I've streamed probably maybe six hours a day for the past week. You know how much money I've made off of ads in that week? Take a guess.
$2.
Close. It was $3.72.
Oh, wow.
So
Nice.
Everybody who thinks that you're getting absolutely rich off this, not true. Your subscriptions, and I actively tell people not to subscribe to my channel. It is something I tell people not to do because it is a waste of their money. Not to the degree, like, don't get me wrong. There are channels that have sub benefits and sub things like, obviously there's the emotes and all that stuff. And if you want the emotes, then get the emotes. But at the end of the day, I tell people not to subscribe to my channel because if you're a sub or not a sub, I'm not going to treat you any different. Everybody's welcome. Everybody has a voice. That's just the way it is. But you don't
have a sub only chat.
I don't do sub only chats and all that stuff. I don't care if you're an asshole. I kick you out. I don't care if you're a sub or not. It doesn't matter. And if you're a good person, I'll listen to you and we can have a nice conversation. But your $5 subscription, your $5 US subscription, I get $2.50 of it, and Jeff Bezos, in his bald-headed space cowboy persona, gets $2.50 of it. So, I would rather you keep the $5 and enjoy a nice
spend it on something nice.
Yeah, spend it on something nice. Go get a couple Hot Wheels and a coffee. Have a good time, baby.
Perfect.
Then give it to me.
Save up and get some boosters for some physical cards.
Dude, that is a booster pack of every card game that you probably want. That's a booster pack of Magic, of Flesh and Blood, of Pokemon, whatever you want. $5 to slam it down. That's all yours. What I do tell people though is that if you're the best way to support somebody is to just be a nice person and engage in the chat and share the content. But if you want to throw down some money, donations go 99% of that donation or 95% of that donation goes to the person that you're supporting. So that $5 it's cool and all. You get a sub badge and whatever, but you're basically putting $250 in Jeff Bezos' pocket. So
you're only getting half of it, so that's it.
Yeah.
And and also take stuff into account like taxes and stuff like that, depending, of course, where you are. But I think there was some time ago there was this big Twitch leak when it comes to the earnings. I think it was something around from 2019 to October 2021.
Yes.
And of course, I mean, you have the big streamers like Lyric, who's almost making $3 million from August 2019 until October 2021. But then you have Critical Role, which is almost heading up all the way to 10 million, which is a lot, but also need to take into account that these big content creators and streamers on the platform, they themselves can negotiate, a larger percentage, for example, from the earnings that they get. But when it comes to Twitch, it's for them. It's about the visibility of that person and kind of them actually using the platform. Like we remember these platform wars that we had back in the day where everybody was trying to get Ninja on their platform, right? So he was kind of jumping from one to another. And yeah, apart from these people who earn like a lot of money and can sustain, which for them it's also not the number one place when it comes to getting their earnings, because they have sponsors, partnerships, and all that stuff where they're actually making the big bucks. They're using this as an additional platform for showing visibility. And I feel like this has been said numerous times by people who specialize actually in helping out streamers and creating content for them. Like it's really hard to actually make a living out of streaming the game on Twitch. Like YouTube, yes, YouTube, you also when it comes to finding people and their content and visibility, YouTube is a lot better than Twitch. And Twitch is very hard to find anyone apart from the people who are on top. Because if you are looking for a game that you're interested in, take Gwent, for example, when you click on Gwent and you want to see who's streaming it, at the top you will have the people who have the most views, and at the bottom the people who have less views. It's very hard for them to actually be seen. So there are these small tips and tricks for starting out streamers. Is like, remember, if you have 0 viewers, open a tab on your computer and you have 1 viewer, or ask your friends or your family to open a couple tabs. That gives you more viewers, which makes you more visible. Always go for titles that don't have a lot of views, because it'll be much easier for you to actually be seen. Because if there's a game that only a couple people are streaming, if you have like 10 views, that's already puts you somewhere in the middle or closer to the top. That means the visibility of you actually playing that makes it better. But it's very hard to, when you're streaming something that's not very popular, it's very hard to actually go to the top. And even if you reach the top, it's not the top of the top, right? So
yeah,
you're not going to be the next Dr. Disrespect or Ninja or Shroud or Lyric or any one of these guys. So it's gonna be difficult to get to that high spot.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be real as well. You can't be that level within a game like Gwent, or even a game like Magic. I mean, the best Magic streamers have like what, 1,500, 2,000 viewers. Is that those people might be able to pay rent with the amount of subs and whatever they're getting, and sponsorship deals and YouTube and all that stuff. That's fine. But what I'm trying to say here is that what always fascinates me, and this is a conversation again that leads back to what we're talking about the streamers leaving and how does that reflect against the health of the game and stuff like that. People who leave because they say that they're not making enough money with the game, I question where they thought that money was going to come from when they started. Yeah. Like if you're looking at the high end, if you take the high end, if your ambition is to be the best streamer at this game, at Gwent, and you're like, I'm going to supplant, the Shinmiris or the Spyros or whoever has the greatest amount of people. Like if Shinmiri's pulling in 1,000 viewers, maybe he's got 3 to 350 subs, maybe 400 subs. So maybe you're pulling in about $800 a month. $800 a month sounds really good. But if that's all you do, because you're streaming 8 hours a day, that's not going to pay the bills. That is less than minimum wage, friends. I hate to tell you, that is less than minimum wage. So if your whole mantra was to come into here and say, I'm going to pay the bills with Gwent, well, you better win several opens, because that's the only way you're going to pay the bills with Gwent. And so I always question the motives of players who are look, I am always of the mantra and the ilk of saying, if you go do whatever the hell makes you happy. If you don't like, if you're not enjoying Gwent, then don't play it. I took a break from it, not because I don't like the game, but because I needed a break from it. And that's just, I had to focus on other things and I took a break from it. There were patches of the game where I'm like, I ain't feeling it. So I'm just not going to play. I'm not going to put in the same amount of time and whatever. And that's perfectly fine. You can go and do whatever the hell makes you happy. You want to go stream Uno, go stream Uno. It's all good. Do whatever makes you happy. But sometimes it just confuses me when people are like, no, I'm just not making enough money. where the hell did you think you were going to make enough money off of this? Like,
I think you should change your priorities.
Well,
in this case,
but I get it, because some people need to pay the bills off this stuff. So there has to be, a transition. But to me, if your motivation is always to make money off of playing stuff, and you're upset, or you're not happy, or your results aren't what you think they were, I think there was an expectation where you missed the mark there on that expectation, where, because even the best and the top in this game are not kicking around the kind of money that you might think they are. And that isn't to say don't try, don't put in the work, but it just seems like if money was the motivator, then how connected to the game were you at a point? And I'm not trying to harp on anybody's intentions or their motives or whatever, because everybody I always cheer for whoever's playing and streaming this game and supporting this game and promoting this game. But at the same time, there needs to be this clarity amongst the community that if somebody leaves and plays something else, it's not a death sentence on the game.
Fine.
Dude, like, have you ever, put it this way? Do you ever decide one day that rather than eating a steak, you just want a nice piece of chicken breast or something? Do all the steaks come together and say, like, this guy freaking hates steak. The steak's doomed. It's never going to be a thing anymore. Like, no, I see that's the kind of ridiculousness of when you see one person who is averaging, 100, 150 views, and they go and do something else, and suddenly it's like, holy Moses, the sky is falling. Like, sit back and just maybe understand that your sphere of what you believe Gwent is there's so much more beyond that. That your favorite streamer is not pulling the strings and keeping Gwent afloat. There are so many other people who are playing the game and enjoying the game.
Yeah, exactly. And there's always going to be a lot of people creating content, and I feel like, of course, some people might counter argument us that we had some streamers leave who were creating, who were driving the views up, like Swim, for example. Swim was someone that everybody remembers that used to have a lot of viewers, Mogwai. But please remember that these are streamers who have been streaming different titles throughout their career. Their number one choice has always been CCGs, but they have actually shuffled through different CCGs that they have been playing, streaming, and enjoying. And I feel like it's normal. Like, there are some games that you like and you play for a certain amount of time, and you sometimes get tired. You also get burned out. You also feel like maybe you're not causing a big enough impact on it, and then you move on to something different in order trying to make yourself, make a name for yourself in that title, and trying to create a new community there. And that's fine. Like, we don't expect you to be always, here and only playing one game and only being stuck to the person that is, he's only Gwent. Like, no, you can enjoy other things. I also feel like there's this problem that content creators do is announcing it like, I am moving on because I do not enjoy the current meta. And this is something that people take and they say, like,
Christ.
See, it's CDPR's fault.
Dude.
The meta sucks. They should think about what they're doing because this person is leaving.
Dude.
And sometimes I feel like it's just them creating drama and clickbait just to be seen a little bit more. I feel like it's a PR stunt on their behalf, right?
Well, so when you have nothing to say, or you don't have a solid argument for something, the best way to seem like you've got a leg to stand on is to just be louder than other people. Like, that's it.
Yes.
When your argument falls flat, if you say it louder, it seems a little bit more poignant. But okay, there's a few things I want to touch upon of what you said. Number one is the fact that you made a great point. There have been way bigger freaking streamers that have left this game to other greener pastures or to other things that they enjoy, and the same sky is falling mentality has befallen this game in 2019, in 2020, in 2021, and here we are in 2022, and it's the same thing. Dead game. Oh my God, what the hell? So-and-so left. This game is doomed. If so-and-so left, then what chance does the game have? Like, get real. There's like this odd cultish mentality that is really cringy, where people just automatically tether themselves to one personality and then that is their personality. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie, I've seen this in my own chat where people change their name to mimic the names of certain streamers.
Yes.
I'm like, that is freaking weird, man. That is
currently we have the meme of Plain Talk John, right? Everybody's Plain Talk something.
Yeah, and it's kind of
they're
cringy.
using that.
Like, dude, I don't like to use the word cringy that much, but I've seen this a ton, and I'm like, do you not have any sense of individuality? Do you have any personality of your own that you could share? Like, I want to learn about you. Like, I don't, and I like John. I think John's a good dude, but it's just,
he's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. So when Mogwai left, Mogwai first of all went to Magic, and then left Magic. Did Magic die? No, it's doing fine. Then he went to Lord of the Rings, Legends of Runeterra.
Legends of Runeterra.
And then now he's tweeting actively that he's unhappy with the patch for that. Is Legends of Runeterra gonna die? Because he's playing Yu-Gi-Oh now. Is that gonna die? Like, relax. Just freaking relax. Like, there's bigger people that have left and gone, and the fact that people tether those two together and constantly doomsay, but manage to stick around for years later to continue to doomsay, makes me laugh a little bit. It's like, it's like being in the middle of the street saying that on December 21st, 2012, the world's gonna end, but it's today and you're still doing it. It's gonna end. It's like, we've passed that. Like, relax, like, calm the freak down. I get it.
I know Gwent has this like number one meme. If you go to Gwent, if you go to Google and you type "is Gwent," like I am typing right now, the number one thing is dead 2022, 2021, and then the next one is pay to win, cross platform, down, important in Witcher 3, in the books, and is Gwent good? These are kind of your number one. So dead is always the one that the people are asking about. But no, we're alive and well. We're creating content. We're doing stuff.
Oh, reviving the dead. And
yes, we're necromancers here.
The other thing I want to talk about is that there's this wonderful habit of when somebody doesn't like the game, they have to write a manifesto about it.
Yes.
and be like, here are my reasons for not playing for 3 more weeks. And everyone's like, oh my God. Oh, okay. Oh, yes.
I love how Mr. Repek, who works with us, he's our event manager also on the esports side, but also streams Gwent from time to time. I think he made yesterday like a remark on his Twitter that I am quitting Gwent for the next 2 weeks because I need to work on events, so I won't be streaming.
Yeah.
Just like making it and then say like, by the way, this is what's gonna happen, because we kind of have a laugh out of it, right? Because you need to remember that us, the same thing, like me not streaming on a daily basis means I have other things going on at that time, so I won't be doing it. People now kind of take me a little bit more seriously because I have been streaming the game and climbing from the lowest rank all the way to rank 5, which I think I am currently on, and going higher and higher in the season, just for my own enjoyment and for fun, because I like the current changes. I like the state of the game that it is right now. And I took some time off, and it's totally fine. At that time, I was maybe wasn't playing Gwent as much, but I was checking out other games like big RPGs. I was also playing other card games. So I feel like I am allowed and entitled to do these things. And I don't need to be kind of the person that is sitting here and playing all these things and doing it if it doesn't feel good. Like streaming Gwent right now feels very good. Feels very fun. It's interesting to see like the same people come to my chat and come to hang out and talk. And it's really nice to get to know them a little bit better. And it makes me feel more part of the community. And I'm using this platform for it. But I do not expect people come to chat and kind of tell me like, if this was a super optimal play. Like, I don't care about if it was super optimal, if it was great. I'm just here to enjoy the community. And I think Gwent has a really cool, tight-knit community who is very supportive of each other. And if you don't go on Reddit, pretty much, you will get to meet also a lot of cool people. But also you'll get to meet a lot of cool people on Reddit. I'm not saying that it's only bad.
Look.
But there you have this hive mind and these people who are fueled by, I feel like some people are there just to troll or just to say negative stuff, just for the fact of like fueling this daily hate, negativity, just for the sake of it.
Yeah, but
right?
those people are losers, and I'm not even like ashamed to say it. It's just like if your whole purpose is to lurk in those forums to remind people that you don't like the game and that the game's dead, and you've been doing it for several years, you're a loser. I'm like, but you're redeemable. That's the beautiful part, is that you can change at any point. You can go
Everyone
and use
can.
those efforts, and you could take that motivation and you could do something positive with it rather than tear people down. But you do you.
You should be building each other up. And I feel like Gwent has a lot of content creators and a lot of people in this community who are building each other up. They're creating content, but not only, they're on Discords, they're in chats, they're saying nice things about each other. They're just, having the possibility just to go on stream and talk about your day and talk about kind of the things that you're working on.
I love
or
it.
The things you're excited for, and then bouncing those off of other people and then getting asked questions about those things is fun. And that's why you should be streaming the game, because you're enjoying the community, you're enjoying the game, and you're having fun with all of this.
Look, I can confidently say that when I took time off of Gwent and streaming, it was purely just to sort my mental health out, and I had a really good 6 weeks afterwards without the stress of streaming. And when I came back and started firing up and playing, seeing a lot of the people that were there for the longest time, that were there to support me and talking to these people, it's a wonderful experience. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore it. Do I think that I'm going to be continuing to stream at the same pace that I am this week ahead of Gwent Open? Probably not, because it's not something I particularly enjoy. Like, I don't hate streaming. I just don't love it, and I would rather use that time to do other things. But what I love is conversing with the community and having fun discussions and having people come in and say, "Hey, that was a really hilarious conversation about the doors versus wheels," or thing like that. Like that to me is awesome. And people who like the podcast, and there's so many amazing people out there. But again, the drama that gets created and drummed up, this drama factory that occurs because one thing happens and people then line up all the dominoes right next to it to be like, well, this person left, so the game sucks. This is going to die. This person's getting fired. The game's not going there. There's no season 5. There's no... Like, that whole domino effect, people are setting up those dominoes themselves, and they're not helping each other when, if they don't like the fact that Heatwave is prominent in decks, they're going to make this gigantic manifesto and post it on Reddit about how they're stepping away from the game, and then literally 2 months later, they'll post something else saying, I have returned to give it a try, and it's like, dude, just play the game. Like,
just play the game. Yeah.
Like, I like, you're not bigger than the game. You're not.
Yeah.
I'm not bigger than the game.
You shouldn't think like you need to announce these things.
No.
Like, I mean, come on.
And I'm not saying it's like, oh, nobody cares. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm just saying that you're just creating drama and points of conversation based on a subjective opinion about something. Because you know what? There's a lot of people who love Heatwave. There's a lot of people who think it's the worst card in the game because it ruins their day. There's a lot of people who think Nilfgaard should get deleted. And a lot of people think that Nilfgaard is the most flavorful and interesting faction in the game. I being one of them. That said, this is my raw intervention to the community who tether the game's success to streamers playing it, because frankly, Trinet's having a great time playing whatever the hell he's playing. Lionheart plays other games. I play other games. Everybody plays other games. Get used to it. This is a gigantic polyamorous relationship that streamers have with card games.
And it's fine.
Yeah, we F around
it's fine
with
to do
all
different
of them.
things.
Yeah, we F around with all of them. So we're not cheating on Gwent. That's not the basis of the relationship, is that we can go ahead and get funky with whatever the hell we want. We're just not possibly streaming it all the time. And if you see somebody fire up Storybook Brawl, then don't go ahead and start lighting your collection on fire because you think that everything's, collapsing in front of you. That's not the case, dude. It's not the case. So please, this cultish mentality of living and dying by a streamer that you've probably never met in your life is really weird. And I tell people whenever they're in my chat, I'm like, this whole, oh, Mr. Streamer, if I may, like, that's kind of awkward, dude. Just talk to me like you would a normal human being. Like, it's this culture that is so odd. It is so freaking odd that I think that's part of why I'm streaming less and less, is that there's this odd instance of like culture that like not deifies the streamer, but really puts them on a pedestal of like everything is the be all end all because this person said it or did it or thinks it. And that's the odd part too. And this transcends into a lot of things wherein if one of those streamers does something bad, there's this mob mentality to either support or crush them regardless of fact. And that is where this gets dangerous, because I don't want anybody to automatically support or cancel me based on anything but the facts of what happened. I don't want people to come to my defense because they like my stream. Figure things out and whatever. But that's the same for everyone else. It's the same for everyone else.
Well, you have it even harder because you're a caster, and casters get put out there a magnifying glass of the community. You guys get compared to one another. You guys get also, like, oh, has he been playing the game? Oh, what rank is he? Like, if you're a good caster and you can cast the games and explain the games to the people watching in a nice, coherent manner, it doesn't matter which rank you are. It doesn't matter how long you have been playing the game or if you haven't been playing the game. It doesn't matter if you know all the names of all the cards. It does not matter. As long as you're doing your casting role correctly, it doesn't matter if you stream the game or if you don't stream the game. You are part of the community. I mean, you're a great example right now. You have been 6 weeks off. You came back and you're kicking ass. Like, and you haven't lost anything. But we was like, oh my God, 6 weeks off? Not focusing and playing Gwent every day and streaming it every day. That's what he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I feel like there's a lot of pressure also put on any streamer content creator because we are consuming this content. And of course, we want this content like stream to be going to us constantly, and so you can consume this stuff because this is the type of society that we are now. We consume media in like enormous amounts. Like TV is not enough. You have now streaming services, you have YouTube, you have Spotify. You can get you can directly take the content that you want and consume it the way you want to. And we want this streamer to be creating this content for us, and you're putting pressure on that person, but you still need to remember that that is a human being, and that person has their own needs, also needs to take some time off, if it's for mental health or if it's just for like burnout or anything like that. Like, let them do their stuff. Like, let them try different things. It's fine. It's like they don't need to be only here with the Gwent community playing Gwent and feeling like they're that they're kind of enslaved and bound to this. Like, they can do different things, and it's totally fine. It's in any aspect of life. It's the same if you even think about, riding bikes or running. You can run every day and like deteriorate your health and get tired of it mentally and physically. Will it be doing anything good for you? No. But are you expected to do it because people know you for that? Yes, but let's not put pressure on those people to do those things. And the same thing is with streaming. Same thing is with anything in life. So, let people take a breather. Let them try different things, do different things, move on. If they come back, it's great. They don't need to announce that they're coming back or leaving unless they want to say, okay, I need some time off. I won't be creating content for this, but I might be back later. And it's fine.
Yeah, it's totally fine. And trust me, I get a lot of criticism.
As you will.
And it's totally fine because it's all good. But my favorite is the fact that when push comes to shove and I'm casting these tournaments, there is a 98% chance that if you're talking crap about me, there's a 98% chance that I'm better than you at this game. It's a fact. Look, I've just come to agree. It is that I'm probably ranked way higher than you. I'm better than you at the game, and it's just it's a true statement. It is an absolute true statement. And is that cockiness? Possibly, but I back it up because I'm always in top on the ladder, kicking huge portions of ass. I play more than you.
Results speak.
Damn right. I play more than you. I've played longer than you, and I'm better than you. So that's why these types of criticisms and stuff, they don't bother me. They don't bother me. I'll read them. If there's anything constructive I can pull out of them, perfect. If someone says like he talks too much or this or that, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I probably do. So I'm going to keep things a little bit more curt and a little bit more abridged, but it's fine. We're no problem. But it's all good. But if you're talking to me that I'm garbage at the game, that's just factually untrue. I'm better than you. And I'm okay with that. And I hope that you improve because one day maybe you will improve, and I wish you luck with that. But anywho, that's the chunk of this conversation, which was essentially the fact that if I were to Cole's notes, the end of it, don't deify streamers. It's awkward. It's weird. If they leave, then good for them. Let them do whatever makes them happy. Okay, so let
them grow. Let them grow. Let them do different things. It only adds to their portfolio and lets them, grow as a content creator, streamer, and as a person. Like, let them do different things.
And use your own screen name, because it's so awkward to see people having screen names that are like this cultish sort of membership mentality. If someone comes into my stream and it's like, I'm Watch Flake, obviously, because Flake is taken. But if someone goes, I'm Watch something, or I'm like, I would not be flattered. I would be like, that's kind of weird. So, nonetheless, friends, thank you so much. We got a break. Kick it to our sponsors, baby.
Yeah. Blue Jeans. Blue Jeans Bar in Gdańsk, our only sponsor that we decided that is going to be our sponsor without consulting with them. So Flurza 15, go to Gdańsk. American food, really good food.
How far is
Never
Gdańsk?
Been, but I'm going to say it's very good.
How far is Gdańsk from where you are?
I think it's 300 kilometers around.
Okay, so like a 3-hour drive if like you're hitting highways and stuff. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Next time I'm there, we're going. Okay. And whether they know what the hell's going on or not, it doesn't matter. But we're going.
We should film it.
Of course we're gonna film it. Absolutely. We should record an episode there.
Oh, dude.
Flurza live at the Blue Jeans bar. Oh. And we'll wear blue jeans. It'll be great.
10 out of 10.
I'm going to bring you a jean jacket, a Canadian tuxedo, as they're called.
I have a jean jacket, so we're good. I love denim wear. I love jean jackets. So no, it's 419 kilometers, 4-hour drive only.
Okay, only. That's fine. But you know what?
Road trip.
You know who's in the car? You and me, buddy.
So, exactly.
Sweet. That's at least, so it's a 4-hour drive. Dude, that's like maybe... That's like 4.5 Backstreet Boy albums. So I got you covered. Don't worry about it. We'll go through the whole catalog. All right. Right after this Q&A, don't go too far.
All right, welcome back to the Q&A session, aka the mailbag, and we have a couple good ones. First one is actually for Flake, so I'll be asking the question by Zayat Tarek or Zayad Neo. Ask Matt, which current or past WWE wrestler would he be or like to be, and which WWE wrestler does he think you, Pavel, would be?
Oh, this is a great question. So, for those who don't know, or you must know by now, I'm a big fan of wrestling. I grew up watching it with my dad, and then I grew up watching it with my buddies, like in elementary school, high school. And when we all went to college and went to different schools, the one thing we always had was on Mondays, we used to get together, order pizza, and watch wrestling. And it wasn't because we're like, oh, we're so enthralled with it, but it was a way for us to get together and have something that we can still keep
bond over.
Exactly. So I watched a ton of it. Not very recently. More recently now, it's just like reading headlines and storylines and whatever. I would say that, like watching it through the 90s, 2000s, whatever. I gotta say, if I was gonna be one, it would be CM Punk along the time where he was in his last run in WWE when he was basically him versus the establishment, when things got really real and he was starting to say things that were like outside of the industry and talking about issues that were like, medical issues and how the company treats people poorly and stuff like that. He got really raw about stuff, and that's what I appreciated, because he was an exceptional person on the microphone who I really admire, how he could really draw in the crowd and keep their attention and speak so articulately and cleverly. I thought he was awesome. But there was always also one guy that made me laugh who is in my hometown. He lives like maybe 10 kilometers away from me. A dude by the name of his in-ring name was Santino Marella. He was an Italian his whole gimmick was that he would come in with a unibrow. He had the Italian colors on, but he was a comedic wrestler. And so he was like a clown in terms of how he would, portray his character. He was a great athlete, great wrestler, but all of his moves were funny. The way he interacted with people were funny. Like, he was there as the comedic relief. He lives close by because he runs a jiu-jitsu dojo here, like nearby. He follows me on Twitter, which is amazing because I've absolutely admired him for so long. I've spoken to him on privately, where he actually agreed a while ago to do a podcast with me. And
Ooh,
I know,
nice.
trust me. And that never happened because of a lot of other factors. But this is somebody whom I absolutely adore. And if I were to be somebody, I'm not going to be the biggest. I'm not going to be the most high flying. I could definitely be the most comedic. I think of those. And here's where this gets amazing. He had a tag team partner by the name of Viktor Kozlov. Viktor Kozlov was this big, I think he was like this big Russian guy who was like basically the antithesis of what Santino was, because he was this big stone-faced, no-laughing kind of guy. So him and Santino would pair up as a tag team, and Santino would always play off of Viktor Kozlov's like very stern look. So they had this funny comedic kind of duo, and that's where I see you. I see you being the Viktor Kozlov to my Santino Marella. That's how I think that this is. I would highly recommend, if you guys want to see some funny clips, just Google Santino Marella WWE. There is like hours of footage of him just being hilarious. His finishing move was something called the Cobra, where he basically, this is for everybody who's watching the video, he would put on this big arm sleeve that looked like a snake, and then he would go like this, and then face the Cobra, and then he would strike with the Cobra, and it was like the most devastating move ever. That's who I would be.
So good. Beautiful. I think you answered that more than better. That was like proper answer to that question.
Thank you, Zayad, because this is
also a nice story attached to it, which is even better.
Thank you, Zayad. He's such a nice guy, and I've never met him in person, but I think I want to. And like, I almost signed up for his Brazilian jiu-jitsu classes just so I could say that I've met the guy. But I thought that would be weird because I'd go in there and get my ass kicked just to see somebody.
But then you say, "But I know this guy.
I know him. We are friends." He's a good boy. He's a good guy. All right, next question from Kachigar, asking, "Hi guys, love the show. Love you both." Well, we love you too.
Oh, we love you too, man.
Tell me, what do you think are 2 to 3 main things in a new card game that are most important not to F up? Art, gameplay, advertising, card quantity and diversity, balance, progression, etc. So what would you say are 2 or 3 of the main things, Pavel, that you have to get right for the success of a card game?
Well, you need to get the gameplay aspect for it. I feel like you also need the balance and the progression, but I think like gameplay and balance are kind of things that are tied in some way. Like the game needs to play well, but it needs to have a really good balance attached to it, or the balance needs to be addressed at least a couple times. At least once a month, I feel like it's good to bring a breath of fresh air, unless you are settled on a meta and you have standard rotation, then of course you don't need to balance as much as yes, Flake. I know a keyword said triggered you instantly. But those are important things, and of course progression. I feel like progression in the sense of incentive to play. Like if you have some daily quests or anything that you need to do within the game that lets you progress and unlock new things, or it's either unlocking new card packs or unlocking any vanities and stuff like that will enhance the gameplay experience for you. Those are things that card games need to do. I feel like art and advertising are also important. Art is important in this sense that you like to play a game which is visually appealing to you, but it might be visually appealing, but the gameplay might be bad. So if you're a card game player, you most likely won't reach for it, because if you hate to play the game, the art won't compensate that. Same goes for advertising. I think these are things that are kind of additionally there. Advertising makes sense if you want to get new players on board, but it doesn't also mean that these players for sure will stick, especially in card games, which are considered, like when you think about it, games that cater to a specific crowd. So my answer for the top 2, 3 main things would be the gameplay, aka connected also with balance here, and then the progression, because these are things that will keep you coming back to the game on a daily basis.
Yeah, I think you hit most of them. And again, if you're talking about success, like is success like financial, like monetary success? Is it the longevity of the game, the player base? I mean, these are all metrics that have to factor into what you would deem a successful card game. But a lot of them will trickle down to these rooted things that people get right. Number one is, in my opinion, you have to have the gameplay, like the rules of the game have to stand out. Cloning a game and changing one thing, even if it's an improvement, is not really going to get things going. You need to have some sort of extra hook. Like Legends of Runeterra is not breaking the mold in terms of what the gameplay is, because if you look at other games that preceded it, they're very similar. Hearthstone, Magic, etc. The gameplay and the framework is there. But why is Legends of Runeterra successful? It's got the lore element behind it, sure, no problem, but it has some extra nuggets to it that is really good. Like, you have the so many different factions are great. You have the evolution and the upgrading of your hero characters that is something to progress to. You have the mana bar as well that you can fill. You have a limited board size and various different levels of attack, defense, things like that. So it started out as a very familiar framework, but the way that it's popular is because it gets a lot of those gameplay and rule sets really, really down pat. So that's certainly part of it. I would also say that balance in the early onset has to be very fine-tuned, because if you're going to a game and there's only 2 decks that you can play out of a card pool of 300, that game's not going to sell, because someone's going to walk into the game, play 5 hours, realize that there's only 2 viable decks, and say, well, that's boring, I'm not going to play it. Yeah. And progression. I think that if you want a card game to stick and be successful, you need somebody to log in regularly because they feel like their time is being rewarded and they are getting something out of it besides wins and losses. And Gwent does that exceptionally. Legends of Runeterra does that very well in terms of how you can choose your path that you want to progress. I think they do it exceptionally well. Magic the Gathering Arena does it poorly, very poorly.
Very. Sorry to say, but yeah.
I don't,
and I feel like their whole community would agree with us here.
Oh, well, put it this way. Let's just throw this out there. A question to the community: how much would you pay for 4 legendary wildcards and 12 epic wildcards? How much would you pay for that? Would you pay $50 US? Probably not. Not in a game where they give away so much. Magic the Gathering Arena has really thrown some garbage at the wall, and it is trying to stick. So that's that. I hope that answers your question, Kajigar.
Yeah, they just put like a big stick in their front wheel on the bicycle that they're riding on, and you're bound to face palm.
Yeah.
Like
why would the community do this? Yeah, exactly. Totally.
All right. What are your opinions on including more dual faction cards like Gord or Tatterwing?
That's from Adams. I like this question very much because making dual faction cards, it's hard enough to balance new cards within their own faction that they have to interact with. Not only that, every faction is every card is technically a dual faction to the degree of it has to interact with the faction in which it exists and the neutral pool as well. So you can't find any broken interactions amidst that pool. So finding a card that can slot into 2 factions plus neutral is difficult. And in reality, some of the arguments I saw about this as well, the dual faction cards are typically only played in one faction as it is. It's very rare you see them actually be effective in both. I think Gord is the outlier here because we've seen...
Gord is the outlier.
Yeah, we've seen crime-based Gord that has been successful in Syndicate, but we've also seen how important Gord is to a spell-related Scoia'tael deck. So
played in most of the Scoia'tael decks.
Yeah, most of them.
Yeah.
I think that dual faction cards, I think it's a matter of, I'm sure designs have been tossed around and some even finalized, but unless you have a 6-pack of them to put out to the world for every faction, then it's not really going to work. So what I think that might be, my opinion of it is, I would like to see another wave of them for sure. But I believe that in order to get it right, you need to have 6 of them and finding 6 that are unique and not going to be busted in one faction or another is difficult. So I'm okay being patient on this. I don't think it's the end all of this.
Yeah, I actually, because I really like this question, I consulted our balance team, and I also talked to Vlad about this.
Yeah.
To kind of get you more insight into the thinking process and kind of what the guys are kind of viewing when it comes to Gwent in the future. So I got an answer that it is something that they could perhaps like explore in the future. However, like looking into the things that we need to do in 2022, like there are different things that we need to focus on. And I think one thing that both kind of agreed on together with Vlad is the fact that we need to first like ensure that the existing cards, which are dual faction, are actually viable. Like Tatterwing here was the example. Like that's a card that needs for sure some love and attention. They also said that they would like to keep this as a possibility rather than a commitment moving forward. Because we never like 100% say like, yes, we will do it for sure. And they're also like mentioned that if you look at the way that we do neutral cards right now, we do them in a way where they are doing the job of dual faction cards quite well while not being tricky to balance, because dual faction cards, they only limit you to 2 factions, while neutral cards can be designed in a way in which they can benefit all these factions. So there's no limitation when it comes to balancing and working on these cards and improving them or changing them to only fit into 2 specific ones. I feel like this argument can be used against us, saying that, oh, it's much harder to balance a card to fit in all 6 factions instead of limiting them to a 2 faction. But I feel like when it comes to balancing, and based off what we discussed here with the balance team, it's much harder to have this limitation of 2 factions instead of having something that is applying to all. So that is of course the answer. So it's something that we will keep in mind on the table for the future.
I like it. Hey, would you believe that we got another question about premium tokens?
Oh, of course.
I answered
about premium tokens.
I answered on the Reddit thread and just told them June 1st. That
nice.
Yeah, I'll just say that. Let them and when it doesn't happen and they'll be like, "What the hell?" I'd be like, "Yeah, there's 9 previous episodes where we say we have no idea." So back up. All right, next question is probably one of my favorite that we've ever had. This is from Redanian Loyalist. Asks, and I don't know if you're a fan of the show, but which Always Sunny in Philadelphia? What's that?
I've never watched it.
You've never watched it? Okay, so I got you covered. I haven't watched every episode, but I've watched like several seasons of this. It is an incredibly hilarious show. It is so good because the characters are so ridiculous, and it's one of those shows like Seinfeld where you can put those characters in so many different situations, and it's just funny to see how they each react to it because the characters are so unique. So the question is from Redanian Loyalist on Reddit: which Always Sunny in Philadelphia main characters would join what gang? Also, what Sunny in Novigrad spinoff? Also Always Sunny in Novigrad spinoff when? So. I'm not a big. I don't know much about the lore of the gangs and stuff of Novigrad, so I'm going to modify this question a bit to say what faction would they be a part of, and I think that's better. You don't know this show at all, so I don't know if you're equipped to say this.
You have to help me out a little bit.
Okay, so the different characters on this, I'm only going to give a few, but there's Charlie, played by Charlie Day, he's the guy of the meme where he's got all the bulletin board with all the things and the arrows pointing and the conspiracy theories and stuff like that. He's a very manic, nervous, anxious person who's not very smart. He's not very literate. He's kind of stupid, but he's very he's very manic and anxious and nervous, energy kind of stuff like that. I see him being in Monsters. I see him being, because everything is just, it's very he's very emotionally driven. He's very and like it just sort of
sounds like a monster.
Yeah, fly by the seat of your pants. He's kind of disgusting at times. That's kind of his whole shtick as Charlie Day. Then there's Dennis. Dennis is kind of like your Chad alpha male style type of person who wants to be thinks that he's kind of royalty to a degree. I think
Realms.
Yeah, Northern Realms, precisely. He's absolutely Northern Realms. He's got this air of he's better than you, he's smarter than you, he's always knows what's going on, he's always getting the women that he wants, he's very manipulative in that degree. So you'd think he'd be kind of Nilfgaardian, but I would put him more towards Northern Realms. If there was a dual faction, Nilfgaard, Northern Realms, it would be Dennis.
It would be perfect.
Finally, the one I'm going to say, there's Mac, played by Rob McElhenney, I think his name is. He is the person. He's kind of like the person who quote unquote does his own research. He's the person who knows everything. Who's very. He's the sort of guy, the Call of Duty player who thinks that they can go into the war zone and end a war on their own. You know, he does things like there's this one scene where somebody comes into the pub and they're worried about the person coming in, and Mac is like, "Don't worry, I gave him an ocular pat down. He's clean." So it's like, you know, like stupid stuff like that. He's very on the ball. He's the guy from the meme where it's like, I'm playing both sides. This way I always come out on top. Like so him to me is Nilfgaard. That's where I see him. He's Nilfgaard. Or maybe Syndicate. I don't know. One of the two. I think those are where those characters would go, in my opinion.
Interesting. Okay, now you just got me interested in the show,
dude. You have to watch it. Just watch the first season.
I know. Catch up on a couple episodes.
Exactly. Everybody says
sitcoms, so it's perfect.
But it's not even like that type of sitcom where there's a laugh track and everything's so stupid because like it's not even funny. Like Big Bang Theory to me is one of the worst shows ever, and people think I would like it because there's comic book references in it. It is terrible. If you take out shows with laugh tracks. Laugh tracks in shows are to remind you when you should be laughing and to basically train you into thinking something's funny. Shows without laugh tracks are the ones that actually have substance in it because they're so good. Anyway, just watch a few episodes. You'll like it.
Is CDPR considering making like a leader ability rotation? I see why this question made it, because the magic word rotation is there.
Yes.
And this is by Conti PT, and there's a second question: we considering making a battlegrounds in Gwent? So leader ability rotation, as any rotation, not a fan. Like instantly made the face. But yeah, it would make sense if we had some new, let's say, distinct leader abilities that we wanted to add to the game and test them. I think rotation there would make a lot of sense. When it comes to rotation overall, limiting players into the amount of like leader abilities that they can use, I feel like it's more important to address and go back to leader abilities which are underperforming and make those better, and start off with those things, because I think that's the most important thing. Then maybe we can start thinking about any type of rotation. But for now, I would not use the R word, because rotation is not my favorite thing.
I just wanted
to... I will pass it on to Flake now, because I feel like, wait, okay. There is more.
Oh yeah, well, you definitely caught the scent of why this is in the script, of why this question is being asked, because yes, the dog whistle word of rotation just caught my ear, and I heard it a mile away. When Conti pressed send on this Reddit post, I think I was in the shower and I was like, huh? I'm like, run out, shampoo in my hair, and figure things out. So I will say this. A leader rotation can be good or it can be bad. Obviously, if everybody's playing the same leader abilities, then you want to maybe entice people to play other ones. I will say that a leader rotation, I like the idea, and I think the problem is that you have to be very careful of what you rotate out, because if you rotate out one leader ability that keeps another leader ability from being OP, then maybe that could be problematic. But if you take out, like, let's say you take out Stockpile, you take out Ursine Ritual, you take out Double Cross, blah blah blah, all these suddenly everything kind of changes, and now it's like, okay, well, now we don't have an ability that might be able to beat this ability, so this ability is going to run the table. I like the idea because it does sort of change and shift things around. Like, what if you put out a poll and said, okay, what leader ability would you not want to see next season, and everybody votes per faction, and the highest vote getters get booted out for a season? That could be fascinating. But there is already
type of faction challenge.
There's already a little bit of phantom rotation that you guys do already, and which is when you say which factions need love and you boost those to being better than the others, is that not some sort of form of phantom rotation by making others better and then making others worse, therefore not being viable? So they're kind of rotated out because they're not even viable. So there is already this artificial rotation that occurs by means of boosting leaders that are not getting love or nerfing leaders that are already too good. Because it is already an occurrence that happens if you're paying attention. Because when a patch notes hit and things get changed, suddenly you're like, wow, I haven't seen Harmony in like a year. Like, I guess it's rotated out because it's bad. So that kind of already exists to a degree.
Yeah. It's nice that you mentioned the balance aspect of it, that it can throw the balance off if, for example, something rotates out that is there to counter something else. But I also feel like, if when it comes to how we do balance and how we try to bring up other leader abilities, like even changing like the amount of provisions that a leader ability gives you, that already is making a leader ability go a little bit higher. Of course, this works only for leader abilities that are not as crucial to your number one game plan, and are not needed in that specific deck, but can be used across multiple different archetypes. But yeah, there are numerous things that go into this. But like I said, like if we maybe were trying to introduce something new, or if we wanted, although I feel like if we wanted players to vote on their favorite ones, they would vote on their favorite ones and not vote on the ones that counter them, because it's something that they like playing. So that would make some power creep or some other leader abilities to become too dominant. So that wouldn't be fun for anyone, I think.
And the last part here is: are you guys considering making it battlegrounds in Gwent?
That's something that we're considering, because I know this is Hearthstone's brand new auto battling game mode that they have. I think they introduced it some time ago. So it's an 8-player experience thing that they have, and I think looking into what we have on the table for this year, I think the most important thing is keeping draft, making draft a little bit better, is keeping everything in multiplayer Gwent going. Plus, remember that we have a single player spin-off to Gwent that we're working on, codename Project Golden Necker, which is our sole focus. But when it comes to adding anything new or any new game modes, not planned right now.
It's going to be difficult because the auto battlers type of game, it exists in various different formats. There's like there's sort of the character driven one, like team fight tactics and things like that, which I've played and I think is really good. Battlegrounds in Hearthstone, I played a ton of that and I really liked it. But again, the problem is that RNG is such an element to it, which is tough and not my favorite. Plus, Battlegrounds for Hearthstone was put behind a paywall of you can play it, but if you want access to more heroes that are good and stuff like that, like you have to pay every season. So I was like, not interested. Now there's Storybook Brawl, and Storybook Brawl is exceptionally good. Now there's a little controversy surrounding it, obviously, because that game was bought out by a bigger company that runs NFTs and stuff like that. So that is on the menu. So there's a lot of backlash on that. But in defense of the people who made Storybook Brawl, if you're making a game, your objective typically is to sell it to somebody for a crap ton of money and then not worry about it. That's your objective, which is what they did. Your objective right there. Right? They're like, hey, we made this cool game. And then a company's like, we'll give you so many dollars. And the people are like,
that game.
Okay, so I'm going to make all this money and then don't have to worry about doing the game anymore. It's like, all yours. Like, no problem. Now, obviously, NFTs is a whole different thing that I don't agree with and I think is stupid. But
same. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. NFTs are complete hot garbage stupidity, but
I was gonna say hot garbage because I love when you say hot garbage.
Hot free range organic garbage, the top notch, absolutely, the kind you get at only like the most prestigious hardware stores to grow a lotus in a closet somewhere. You need that very nutrient rich earth. That's what this is. It's pure hot organic free range fair trade garbage.
Perfect.
There you go. So
what a way to end.
Yeah, Battlegrounds in Gwent can't. It's going to be, the thing about it is that the nature of what Gwent is completely different than the other games that where you have minions and battling that smash face together and there's a health total. Gwent doesn't do that. So you have to figure out a very different rule set, because it's not just about putting units on the board, because those units don't do anything to each other. They just sit on the board and represent points. So you have to create a very different rule set and framework for how this Battlegrounds auto battler in Gwent could work. However, if they do figure that out, if that does get sorted, that is 100% where I'm putting all of my effort Gwent related, is to play that, because they are a lot of fun.
Yeah. Nice.
Easy. Another
easy
episode.
Peasy lemon squeezy.
We made books.
It through episode 10.
10. And there's going to be 10 more minimum.
The big 1-0.
Yeah.
Minimum. We need more.
Pavel and I signed a contract.
As long as Marthius says he'll be editing these and they're working on them.
I think it's Alias V now who's editing these, and she is one of my favorite human beings ever. So
yes, we need to send her more chocolate.
We do. She moved away from me. She's in Calgary now. Ever since I met her, she kept moving further and further away. First, we were both in the Toronto area, so I'd go visit her at her apartment and we'd hang out. And then she moved to Niagara, which is about an hour drive away. So I would drive out to meet her and hang out at her place with her husband and her pets and play cards and just hang out. And then now she just flew away to Calgary for 3 hour flight away. So I'm like, dude, I can't keep this up. So what is it? Me? Is it something I said? Yeah, that's an episode.
So she's been inviting you over and getting you tickets and stuff like that. We had that one of the episodes that she's been trying to.
God, her and her husband, I love them both so much. They're like family to me. Like you are, Pavel Burza. I'm gonna end this episode like I end every episode and say I love you, man.
I love you too.
Well, that makes sense.
I love the whole Gwent community.
We do. I love 98% of you.
98%.
98%.
Okay, I love everybody, even with your problems and stuff like that.
Nah. The 2% of you can all hold hands together and sing Kumbaya, but the rest of the 98% love you dearly. Not to say that the 2% isn't redeemable, but
everybody can bounce back.
Damn right. Absolutely. Trust me. I know. You can always bounce back. All right, that's the episode. Pavel, lead us out, buddy.
Dude, I don't know what to say. It was amazing. It's always amazing to sit down every week and just talk to you about the most important stuff in Gwent, in life, and in card games. And it's the best.
I just remembered, friends, ladies, gentlemen. If you're listening to this on Friday, keep an eye on Pavel Burza when he's doing interviews, because I'm going to be whispering some doofus stuff in his ears. I'm telling you, I'm gonna work on it.
If I break out laughing in the middle of any interview that I do this weekend, it's because of Flake and him whispering weird stuff in my ear, or saying some funny Polish words just so I can crack up.
Damn right.
We're gonna keep it professional, though. I'm gonna keep it professional.
You can.
Nothing's
You're a pro.
Gonna hit me.
I'm not. I don't.
And then you hear Naleśniki or something.
Damn
in the middle,
right. Exactly. Parówki. Right in there. All right, friends. Again, thank you so much for listening and watching the Flurza experience. We love you very much. Don't forget, you're not losing if you're learning, so keep playing the game. You might win. Catch you next time on the Flurza experience.
Bye.
Bye.